Alright, so had the same kind of problem with the locks. I had this one come off first, um, and then last summer this one came off, but I kept a strap on it, so it's no problem. The problem here um, is that it has a little plate in it. I'm probably not getting a focus, but it's right in there, and that pops off because it's got uh, all of one piece rivet that comes out of this white metal down through the stainless plate, and for whatever reason, whenever that rivet gets formed, or maybe it's just the alloy itself, it it will break after a while, stress fracture. So I was in despair for a while, and I was trying to figure out, how am I going to repair this? It's really pretty complicated and so on. And I didn't think that I could do it, but after searching for appropriate latches for a long time and not finding anything suitable, um, I decided to give another go at it and see if I could make the repair. So um, as you can see, it is in fact possible. So the way this thing works is that you've got two parts, and um, the latch, which doesn't figure into the repair. So there's this part which I call the buckle, and then there's the lock plate is there. So the way this thing mounts once it's dismounted is that first you put the buckle on, and that has to slide in under these plate mounts in here. There's one there and one there, so that has lugs that goes in under there, so that has to slide under there first, and then the lock plate slides up through there in the grooves here, and then once it aligns, this lock plate has lugs, the lugs that are held by the plate that we're trying to put back in place, which is held with these rivets now. And the problem with those lugs are that they don't seat all the way because there's a little rounded spring, uh, metal, curved metal spring there that doesn't allow the lugs to seat all the way. So in order to get a rivet gun on there, obviously, you can't do it like that because there's just no space for the rivet gun and to fit in there. So the only way to make the rivets work is from this angle. Consequently, it's difficult. What happens is that you get these loose pieces in there, and they're just on the verge of hanging on, and then you position it not on the bike, but you position it on the bench so that you can just wiggle that plate in there with a screwdriver and kind of a prod of some sort would work, a piece of wire. And once you wiggle it in place, well, first of all, you have to drill your holes. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Probably better do it a drill press. This is not aluminum, this is white metal. It's iron alloy. You probably might want a cobalt drill. You might want a drill sharpener and oil. And I actually did it with just a pair of vice grips, but the bit would tend to wander a bit, and they're not as straight as they should be, so it was almost impossible, but I managed it. So once you have your holes drilled, your plate cleaned out, the holes in the plate cleaned out, then you can position your lock pieces in there so that it's about like that position right there, and then slide your plate in there. This would be almost upside down when you do it, and these are 1/8 rivets, and you'll have to find the appropriate length, but you can see about what it is. I don't know, 1/4 inch or something. I forgot what the length is. Now the problem is that you can't get the rivet all the way through in there. So that's one of the problems. The other problem is that the lugs don't seat all the way. So the plate doesn't sit flush when you're trying to mount it. So you have to put a screwdriver on the back side, push your rivet, put the rivet gun on the rivet and push it in as far as it'll go, and then the rivet will hit back here so that it won't go any further. And then what you've got to do is you just gently squeeze your rivet gun so that it just begins to flare that rivet, so that that first rivet is not going to pop out. It'll hold the plate in the place where you want it, but it won't compress it all the way. And then you start with the second rivet and you do the same thing. You get that mounted, you give some back pressure with a screwdriver, you squeeze the rivet gun just enough to flare the end, and then you work it back and forth. You push in with your rivet gun, back pressure with the screwdriver, and a little bit at a time, maybe 2 or 3 times back and forth, and pop it off. And then with this one, this was the first one I did. I didn't seat it entirely well, so I took a punch and flattened the edge of the rivets down a little bit. This one, I knew what I was doing at that point, so these are flush, and I didn't really have to do much tapping on that at all. Oh, and if you're hitting on it, you've got to hold back pressure with your punch, and hold your punch like this with back pressure, because you don't want to damage the case much. So the upshot is, yes, it can be done. I don't know why the rivets fail exactly, but they fail. I mean, they're integrated rivets, they're not actually rivets. The original rivets are part of the backing of the lock plate, so, but they fail. Stress fractures, I've had metal fail before at odd places, and it happens, you've got vibration and so on. So that's the big one there. Keys are hard to come by. I happen to have a friend who had he had the same lock set as this, and he loaned me his key, so I took his key and I duplicated it by hand with a Dremel set and various tools, and then tempered it and stamped the number in it. So that's an entirely handmade key, out of some scrap metal of some sort, and it works. A little difficult, tedious, time consuming, but with a restoration, it's what you got to do. This one was on the other side, so I took that off, put it on this side, so that it's a complete set on this side. And I'm still looking for another one of these. My mechanic friend that loaned me the key probably has one of those. He's just yet to dig it up, and we'll see about that. So it can be done. It can be done. It's good news. That works. I don't know what else. Any news on this? I don't know. I've pretty much covered everything on this so far. Yeah, pretty much. So that's it for now.